Hello, everyone. It's Daniel here, and we are going to go over two emails today. One is from Richard, one is from Olivia. And Richard has been in touch with me for a while, and I think there are at least two, three previous podcast episodes where I've been replying to him. So, with that said, actually, let's just jump in here and read this email from 20 hours ago. Hi, Dr. Dan. Update. Hope you're well. I'm still frustrated. I continue to watch my time in bed, which seems to be the best indicator of how I am going to sleep. If I limit my sleep time to 6 or 7 hours, I usually sleep okay, as in, I don't have to get up and give up on my sleep. I continue to have a bad sleep and wake up every hour or more, but I do sleep in 45 to 60 minutes chunks. That is somewhat of an improvement. But I'm so exhausted during the day. It makes me almost totally dysfunctional and irritable all day. I fall asleep or fight falling asleep all day. If I try to get more sleep at night or take too many naps during the day, I will have a very bad night in bed. It seems like a pretty bad cycle or pattern. Go to bed exhausted and get up early and be so exhausted during the day as to be worthless. But sleep that night under these conditions has a chance. Straight from that, and sleep at night will be horrible. I continue to listen to your podcast, and I must say that I think I get what you're saying, but I find it frustrating. But what I find frustrating is that while you totally get the problem and are so empathetic with what we suffer, the solution, that's the hyperarousal about sleep, don't dwell on sleep, stop worrying about sleep, while on point and brilliant, appears impossible. I don't disagree that this is probably the issue at some super subtle level, but how to turn it off? That is the big question. I just wish that for all the time we all spend finding the roots of these problems, that an equal amount of effort or more and progress made could be applied to addressing this critical question. Maybe it cannot be answered. It's just something that has to happen, question mark. It certainly makes it understandable why people medicate or self-medicate to force some level of relaxation or immunity to the hyperarousal problem. But I know that's only short term. I am just frustrated and wish that there was a way to turn off whatever keeps me from getting the sleep I need. Thanks for listening. Well, as always, thanks for reaching out, Richard. And the frustration is something that you almost feel as you're just reading this. And there were two things that came to my mind as I was reading this. You've probably already listened to this episode called Talking Insomnia number 12. I very often refer to it because I found it really, really good. It's me talking to the psychologist called Nick Wignall. And one of the techniques that he talked about that I've heard about but not applied that way is this like constructive worrying, which I think could be helpful for hyperarousal. So what you do is you set off some time. And by the way, listen to the entire episode if you haven't listened to it. But the kind of maybe the biggest take home message or take home, yeah, let's call it take home message for me was, or technique rather, was constructive worrying, but done in a very like intense way, if not better. So what he does is this: he asks you to choose a brief time period, let's say 15 minutes, not too late, not too early. Let's say for most people, probably like 6 or 7 p.m. or so is good. And then during that time, you write down all your frustrations, everything you're anxious about, all your worries, and putting that down on paper is helpful in itself. But more importantly, if done as an exercise, the like the kind of like your body, your brain kind of bombarding you with you with like these worries and anxieties and stress and stuff like tends to go down. So it's almost like you have to think of it as an exercise. Like if you do it every day, you will see that you have less of the frustration, anxieties, worries that keep popping up otherwise. Um, I feel like he explained it better, so definitely listen to this episode. But I think that's one thing that I thought about. And the second thing was this. It's changes like when we're trying to like get past insomnia or other things like we try to lose weight or we try to stop smoking or things that involves a lot of change, behavior change, like changes in our thought processes and things like that. Sometimes it can be hard to do it on your own. And so I was thinking maybe if somebody was there to like to somebody that was there to like give you guidance and coaching and support and accountability and things like that on a regular basis. I mean, I'm always here to answer questions, but somebody that's more in a more structured way, maybe that would be helpful. And and that could be like a cognitive behavioral therapy person that lives close to you, like do it face to face. Or it could be, I always refer so many people to my friend and colleague Martin Reed, insomniacoach.com. And I just literally now, today, uploaded, which I hope is going to be like my contribution to like really making a big impact on in the insomnia world, is my app called BedTyme with a Y, BEDTYME. If you happen, it's only for Apple now, but I think that could be helpful too. It's like a two-week free course where during which you have access to a coach, which is initially myself, and after that it becomes a subscription, and then and that's, you know, you have daily contact with somebody, and you can, you know, there's a diary and you keep track of how things go along as well. So consider that, and I hope these things are helpful, and stay in touch, Richard. And I think, you know, one thing that is really important, and I think I say this a lot, but I think it's worth repeating, is that when somebody is in that stage where they're looking for the root cause of their insomnia, and they believe it's something like a something's wrong in their brains, there's a faulty sleep switch, or there's a hormonal imbalance. Like they're not even at a stage where they have some foundation upon which they can start doing better. So the fact that, you know, you have kind of like, you understand sleep physiology, you see that if you kind of keep yourself awake, you sleep more. You see that, yes, at some level it is probably this hyperarousal that is the root cause. At least you have that, like you have that foundation to build upon. So I hope this was helpful, Richard. And we're going to move to another email that I got 18 hours ago. So let's read this and go from there. Hi, Daniel. My name is Olivia, and I'm 18 years old, and my insomnia began sophomore year of high school when I didn't get sleep one night. Then I was so worried the next night. I didn't sleep that night and so forth. This put me over the edge, and I haven't seemed to overcome it. The good news is I know I can sleep. I know it's all in my mind, but goodness, this anxiety surrounding it is absolutely insane. Even when I got 4 hours of sleep last night, which is better than most, I know it took a lot for me to get there, I'm so worried I will not sleep tonight. When I don't get much sleep the night before, the anxiety just engulfs me. I try to tell myself that just calm down and try not to think about it will help, but I just can't do it. I've been watching your videos and I love all the tips you give. They're all super helpful. I really need help with anxiety though. I know it's all in my head, but I can't seem to shake that feeling of what if I don't get sleep. Anything would be helpful, and I look forward to your message back. So, Olivia, you know, sorry to hear this happening, of course, but I'm happy you found my channel. I think you'll find a lot there, and that you reached out. And also, you know, what you write here, I know I can sleep. That is really, really good. That's also, like, as I talked about in the previous episode or previous part of this, you have that foundation that you can build upon. And in fact, I'm repeating myself a little bit here, but that episode, if you haven't listened to it, or that it's called Talking Insomnia number 12 with Nick Wignall. Please listen to that. That is all about anxiety, but and the technique I talked about like earlier in this podcast episode, where you use constructive worrying. You set up time to write down everything you worried about, and really try to get it all out there in like 15 minutes. And then do that every single day like an exercise. That's a good one. But there was another one I thought about here. You write, what if I don't get sleep? There's something called like a downward arrow technique, where you just ask yourself, you know, like a kid does. A kid always asks like, why? Well, you know, like, why aren't you eating? Well, I'm not hungry. Well, why aren't you hungry? Well, you know, and they just keep asking why and why and why. You can use that actually as a kind of an anti-anxiety thing, and say, what if I don't get sleep? And then you say, so what's going to happen? Then you're like, well, then I'm going to feel terrible tomorrow. And then, well, what if that happens? Well, if I feel terrible tomorrow, I probably, and et cetera, et cetera. And And sometimes you find by doing that you realize, well, actually there wasn't really a super severe consequence, which is good, and that can be reassuring. Or sometimes people go into this like, kind of a catastrophizing thing where they say, well, if I don't sleep, I'm not going to be able to work. If I don't work, I'm going to lose my job. If I lose my job, I'm going to get homeless. And if you go down that path, then you have to ask yourself, how realistic is it that I become homeless because I can't sleep tomorrow? And then that can be enlightening too. So that kind of going down that path of like answering the question of what if could be really helpful. And other than that, really listening to that Talk Insomnia 12, I think is really helpful. And keep browsing the channel. I think you'll find things that are good there. I felt like I didn't really deliver anything super helpful for you, Olivia, here, but I hope at least there was some takeaway here, and let me know how things go and what you thought of everything said here. So with that said, I'm gonna finish up this episode, and I'm gonna actually do one more video episode today that I hope you guys, Olivia, Richard, and anyone else listening and anyone else tuning in will find helpful. Until then, take it easy.